My discussion for today is all about ethics, fraud, and internal control, which is the chapter 3 of our subject, Accounting Information System. The following are the objectives for this chapter. The first one is the broad issues pertaining to business ethics. Second one, ethical issues related to the use of information technology. You also have to learn how to distinguish between management fraud and employee fraud, common types of fraud schemes, the key features of SAS 78 and COSO, internal control framework. Actually, this is uh, the framework that is used in United States. So, hindi tayo masyadong mag-discuss nito kasi hindi ito applicable sa atin. And then the last one is the objects and application of physical controls. Let's first discuss ethical standards. So, what is ethical standards? These are derived from societal mores and deep-rooted personal beliefs about issues of right and wrong. And take note, they are not universally agreed upon. Kasi nga 'di ba iba-iba ang pananaw ng bawat individual when it comes to ethics because yung tama sa iyo maaring mali sa iba at yung mali naman sa iba maaring tama sa iyo. Now, ethics is the principle of conduct that individuals use in making choices and guiding their behavior in situations that involve the concepts of right and wrong. Okay, so yun nga, pag sinabi nating ethics, it is based on an individual's perception of what is right and wrong. Okay, now, why should we be concerned about ethics in the business world? The reason for that is because of the following examples of executives that had ethical issues. Ang pinakasikat dyan ay yung Enron CFO, Andy Fasto. So, alam naman natin pag CFO, siya yung in charge sa finances. And Enron, it is the biggest accounting scandal na nangyari sa buong mundo wherein before sa Amerika meron yang Big Five auditing firm. Pero dahil nga lumabas itong Enron scandal na to, naalis na yung isang accounting firm na yon because they are involved with this kind of scandal. And we will discuss this in detail sa mga susunod natin na slides. But Andy Fasto was able to gather $40 million amount of wealth sa bulsa niya because of this scandal. And also the Tycos and Worldcoms um, executives wherein they become wealthy beyond imagination while driving their companies to the ground. So at the expense of the company, they become wealthy. So this is just some examples why we should be concerned about ethics in the business world. And also, ethics are needed when conflicts arise. The need to choose. Okay. Because in business, conflicts always or may arise between employees, management, and stakeholders. Kasi magkakaiba ang interest ng bawat isa. So, paano mo i-resolve ngayon kung may conflict itong tatlo na to? And also, business ethics is used in litigation. So, what is business ethics? Business ethics involves finding the answers to two questions. The first question is, how do managers decide on what is right in conducting their business? Kasi nga 'di ba, ang example nito, when implementing a new computer information system within the organization. So hindi lahat ay mapapaboran nitong decision na ito. Bakit? Because others may lose their job, while those who remain will enjoy the benefit of improved working conditions. So, as you see, may nakinabang at merong hindi. So, ngayon, paano magde-decide ang managers? Okay? When they are faced with this kind of situation. And also, once managers have recognized what is right, how do they achieve it? Now, there is a principle wherein to guide managers in order to achieve business ethics. It is called proportionality. What does it mean? Proportionality, it is the benefit from a decision. The benefit from a decision must outweigh the risk. Kasi 'di ba in every decision there is always a risk. So kailangan mabalanse siya. Kaya nga siya tinawag na proportionality. And there are two factors that contribute to proportionality. The first one is justice. So what is justice? It is the benefits of the decision should be distributed fairly to those who share the risk. So ibig sabihin, if there are some within the organization that will share the risk, they must also share the benefit from that decision. And then those who do not benefit from that decision should not carry the burden of risk. Kasi nga naman, unfair nga naman yun sa kanila because they will not benefit from the decision pero may burden pa rin sila ng risk. So, pero hindi ito absolute because hindi naman lahat ng situation pwedeng magawa ito. Pero as much as possible, it should be one of the guiding principle. And then the other one is minimize risk. It means that the decision should be implemented so as to minimize all of the risk and avoid any unnecessary risk. So itong itong factor na to wherein you have to minimize risk. Ngayon pa po, going forward na to. Even sa mga standards natin, there are many updates on standards wherein kino-consider na itong mga risk na ito, lalo na when it comes to auditing. Ayan. Okay. So, there are four main areas of business risk. And they are, okay, equity, rights, honesty, and then the exercise of corporate power. So, kaya nga itong subject na ito, accounting information system, and yung other subject natin this summer, they work hand in hand actually. Kasi related yung mga topics nila. So, you will find here that exercise of corporate power is included to business ethics. Bakit? Kasi nga, yung mga nagmamanage sa corporation, it doesn't mean that they are also the owner. They are just a steward or they are just agents of the shareholders. So, nagkakaroon talaga yan ng conflict of interest. Because sometimes they do decisions that will be beneficial only to them and not for the whole corporation or entity. Okay. Now we will go to computer ethics. But before that, let us discuss first the um, three levels of computer ethics. They are the pop, para, and theoretical. When we say pop, this is just the exposure to stories and reports found in the popular media regarding good or bad ramifications of computer technology. Ang example nga niyan is yung mga computer viruses, okay, and other benefits that a person can get from computer technology. So it is just um, basic information that one acquired through exposure to stories and reports. When it comes to para is deeper because it is the real interest in computer ethics cases. Example of that are where the system professionals need to reach this level of computer ethics. Kasi nga, di ba, yung mga system professionals, they are the one who is involved with the audit of information system. So, dapat mas alam nila ito. And also, accounting students like you should also have um, some preview or education regarding this matter. And the last one is theoretical. This is the deepest interest because it deals with multidisciplinary researches wherein the purpose is to bring new understanding in the field. Kaya mas malalim siya because it is based on researches. So what is computer ethics? Computer ethics concerns the social impact of computer technology. Pa-hardware ba yan, software, or telecommunications. And there are computer ethics issues wherein some of this na na-discuss na natin dun sa previous computer subject ninyo. 'Di ba? Like this one, privacy, security, um, ownership of property. Kasi nga, 'di ba, lalo na ngayon yung access to information, pwede mong gayahin or i-copy yung idea ng ibang tao even without asking permission from them. Kasi nga 'di ba yung access natin sa information is napakadali na ngayon. And then equity in access, environmental issues, artificial intelligence, unemployment and displacement because of computer. Marami na ring nawawala ng trabaho kasi some of the job are done by computer. And then misuse of computer. Okay. Now, there is a discussion here about the relationship of fraud and accountants. So, as auditor ba, what is the main purpose or objective of the auditors? Is it looking for fraud, detecting fraud, or just expressing the opinion regarding the fairness of the financial statement? I will just give you a background. Looking back to the Enron example or scandal in the United States. Because of that, the Sarbanes-Oxley Code was promulgated in that country wherein sila yung nagpasimula nun eh. Kaya yung ibang mga bansa katulad sa atin dito sa Philippines, because of that code, binago na rin natin yung corporate governance code natin. Kasi nga because of the Enron scandal, it has been an eye-opening sa madaming mga stakeholders. Okay, when I say stakeholders, uh, they are they are not nakafocus sa shareholders. Stakeholders, this includes employees, creditors, suppliers, customers. So these are the persons who are involved with the operation of a corporation. And because of that scandal, mas naging mahigpit na. Kaya ngayon, yung trabaho ng accountants before is just merely expressing an opinion. Ngayon, mas binubusisi na. Parang most of the stakeholders expect accountants to detect fraud. That's why the US, mas prefer nila yung GAAP. Mas ginagamit nila yung generally accepted accounting principle kaysa sa international financial reporting standards na ina-adapt ng kadamihan ng mga bansa. Yung US, sila focus pa rin sila sa GAAP because GAAP is more on rule-based. Siguro ang reason din nila nito is para ma-safeguard din. Kasi GAAP and SOX work hand in hand para ma-safeguard yung interest ng mga shareholders from the managers of the corporation. So, kaya mas prefer nila yung GAAP kesa sa IFRS. And malaki yung role ng accountants then when it comes to fraud kasi 'di ba, as you know, tayong mga accountants ang nag-a-account ng mga financial transactions. So, malaki yung role natin pagdating dito. At saka, kung meron mang makaka-identify nitong fraud na ito, isa tayo doon. Now, what is the legal definition of fraud? So, this is the legal definition of fraud. Kasi nga daw minsan, mahirap daw ma-identify kung fraud ba talaga yung ginawa or it is just a mere mistake or misrepresentation. So, for it to be considered as fraud, there should be false representation, which means there is a false statement or disclosure. And also the material fact. So when we say material, it pertains to materiality principle. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng materiality principle? Ibig sabihin yan, the fact must be substantial in inducing someone to act. Ibig sabihin, the inclusion or omission of a certain information or fact may greatly affect the decision that the user of that information may come up to. Okay, so sa Tagalog, pag inalis mo yung information na yun o idinagdag mo yung information na yun, makakaapekto yun sa desisyon na gagawin nung gumagamit ng information. Pag ganun ang sitwasyon, ibig sabihin material yung fact na yun. Ano ba? Example niyan, lagyan natin ang amount. Kasi materiality, it cannot be measured by amount because you should consider the total population and size of the organization. For example, for a simple street vendor, a 1,000 peso amount is material. Okay? Because maliit lang naman yung negosyo niya eh. But for a multinational company, 1,000 peso amount, that is immaterial. So, titingnan mo na yung amount na yon, pag na-omit yon or napasama yon, pwede siyang makaapekto dun sa whole organization. Kaya, hindi nga natin pwedeng masabi na may boundary ng amount yon. Ganun din sa fraud. Okay? So, tinitingnan din yung materiality. And then also, intent to deceive must exist. So, there should be an intention. And also, the misrepresentation must have resulted in justifiable reliance upon information, which caused someone to act. Okay? So, example niyan, intentionally ginawang malaki yung income ng company. And because of that information, may mga nag-invest dun sa company na yun. So, yun, nagkaroon ng, it caused someone to act. So, that is a misrepresentation. And also, the misrepresentation must have caused injury or loss. There has been a damage because of that misrepresentation. Okay. The next figure shows the fraud triangle. So, this fraud triangle is composed of the following factors. The first one is the situational pressure, which is the personal or job-related stresses. Okay, the second one is the opportunity. When we say opportunity, the person has direct access to assets and information that controls assets. And the third one is ethics, or one's character and degree of moral opposition to acts of dishonesty. So, explain ko lang itong figure 3-1. So, as you can see in this portion, diba, here is the ethics, and on top are the pressure and opportunity. And then in the middle, there is a section wherein there is fraud, and here there is no fraud. And in this section, there is also the pressure and opportunity, and then there is ethics. So as you can see, the factor that is prevailing in this section is the ethics. That's why it is aligned with the section in the middle section wherein there is no fraud. Kasi nga, mas nag-prevail yung ethical standard ng person, kaya hindi siya nadala ng pressure and opportunity to commit fraud. On the other hand, in this section, as you can see, the prevailing factors are the pressure and opportunity. And talo niya yung ethics. That's why it is in the portion where there is fraud. So that's the interpretation of figure dash 3. Okay. Next is the 2008 ACFE study of fraud. It can be found in page 122, 122 of your material. So here, these are results of a study regarding fraud. So here is the summary wherein loss due to fraud equal to 7% of revenues, which approximately 994 billion US dollars. And then loss by position within the company. As you can see here, there are 3 levels. The first one is the owner or executive. The second one is the manager, and then the third one is the employee. If you will look at the percentage, the level with highest percentage is the employee, which has 40%. But if you will look at the loss per US dollar, it is only 70,000 compared to executive owner, which only comprises of 23%. But it has a greater value when it comes to loss, which is $834. Okay? And then also, the other results is there are higher losses due to men. And also, employees acting in collusion, ibig sabihin nagkakaroon ng sabotahe dun sa, ay nagkakaroon ng conspiracy yung mga empleyado. Okay, and employees with advanced degrees. So what are the conclusions to be drawn? Okay. So wala sa slides yung conclusion, pero you can see it at page 122. Okay, first, position. So kung napansin niyo, konti nga lang yung percentage ng executive na nag-commit ng fraud, pero malaking amount yung naging loss ng company. Because sa conclusion natin, when it comes to position, individuals in the highest position within an organization are beyond the internal control structure and have the greatest access to company funds and assets. So, madami nga yung employee pero maliliit na halaga lang naman yung nakukuha nila because of fraud. Pero pag owner executive, because they are beyond the internal control structure, kaya mas malaking fund or assets ang nakukuha nila. And also gender. So, sabi dito, higher losses daw are due to men. It doesn't mean that women are more honest than men. One of the reason is that men occupy high corporate positions in greater numbers than women. Okay, so that's why men can afford greater access to assets. But I will also share that there is also one study wherein the result is that compared to men and women comprises most of the percentage that commit fraud than men. Mas marami daw yung mga babae na nagko-commit ng fraud kaysa sa lalaki. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin ba nun dishonest ang mga babae kaysa sa lalaki? No. The reason lang kasi is because mas babae daw yung binibigyan ng trust ng company when it comes to access to finances. So, mapapansin nyo din, di ba, mostly ng mga CFOs sa position na yun ay mga babae. Yan. Pero dito, ang pinag-uusapan naman kasi dito is the amount. Okay? Yung sinasabi ko is the number of women that commit fraud. Dito yung amount. Kasi nga, di ba, madami namang mas mataas ang position na lalaki kaysa sa babae, generally speaking. And also, when it comes to age, older employees daw tend to occupy higher rank positions, so therefore, mas great yung access nila sa company asset. And also, when it comes to education, syempre yung may matataas na education, mas matataas yung position nila, so mas greater yung access nila sa company funds. And collusion, okay, so this is one of the reason why segregating occupational duties is very essential kasi nga uh, employees tend to have collusion. Okay? Kaya delikado kapag walang proper segregation of duties within the company. Okay. So the next topic is about Enron Worldcom Adelphia underlying problems. So sabi ko nga, ito yung Enron, this is the biggest scandal na nagkaroon sa sa mundo. And it has become an eye-opener for the stakeholders. So what are the underlying problems that are seen here? The first one is the lack of auditor independence. Auditor independence is very important. Kasi 'di ba, pag auditor ka, you should be independent from your client. Bakit? so that your judgment, your procedures will not be clouded by undue influence from other parties. Kasi nga 'di ba dapat tayo ay hindi bias. Okay? So, yun yung nakita diyan. And also the reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng lack of independence is because most of this auditing firm also perform non-accounting activities to their clients. Kaya nga ngayon, mas mahigpit na. Pag auditor ka, you should focus on attestation services. And you are not permitted to conduct management services and other non-auditing or non-accounting activities with your client kasi it may cloud your independence. The next one is the lack of director independence. So, ito mapag-aaralan natin to sa corporate governance. Kasi nga, dapat sa board of directors within the corporation, dapat there are certain members of the board that is independent from the management or not involved with the management. Bakit? Kasi nga 'di ba, kung most of them or all of them are involved with the management, there will be bias pagdating sa mga decision na gagawin nila because mag magpe-favor sila dun sa management and also kung may ginagawa man silang hindi maganda within the management, pwede nilang i-conceal yun kasi sila rin yung nakaupo sa board. Ngayon, yan yung isa sa update sa corporate law natin na binigyan ng emphasis na dapat ang board of directors should include non-executive person. So, hindi involved sa management. Yan. And also, dapat wala siyang business trading relationship and financial relationship as stockholder dun sa and personal loan dun sa ibang mga stakeholders. Yan. The next one is the questionable executive compensation schemes. So, ito marami din dito. Yung mga executives, gumagawa sila ng compensation scheme na masyadong favorable sa kanila. Ibig sabihin, most of the profit na lang ng company napunta na lang sa sweldo nila. Kaya nga din, ito, mapag-aaralan din natin sa corporate governance, meron ding committee na ina-appoint wherein sila yung nagde-decide kung ano ba yung mga compensation scheme na ibibigay sa board of directors and also sa management ng corporation. So, they are also independent committee na in charge doon. Kasi nga, ito yung isa rin sa mga naging issue kung bakit bumagsak yung company even if it is profitable because of this kind of compensation schemes. And then, the next one is inappropriate accounting practices. Okay? So, ito involve ang accountants dito. So, this is a characteristic common to many financial statement fraud scheme. When it comes to Enron, so, ang nangyari sa kanila, ang Enron kasi marami na silang utang. In paper, they are doing well. They are earning a lot. But in reality, marami ng utang yung company. So, paano nangyari na hindi yon nakita sa financial statement ng Enron? So, ang ginawa nila, nagtayo sila ng mga entities. Okay? Nagtayo sila ng mga legal entities which is under them pa rin. Tapos, lahat yung mga off-balance sheet accounting na mga liability, okay, dun nila nilagay. Kaya, naitago nila yung liability na yon. And also, the other one is, meron silang tinatawag na income inflating scheme. Ang income inflating scheme naman technique is ganito. For example, they have 2-year contract for a certain customer. So instead of spreading over the revenue within 2 years, they recognize all of the revenue in one period. So lahat ng revenue na yun, na-recognize dun sa period na yun. Kaya ang nangyari, ang taas nung income nila. Okay, so ilan lang yan sa mga paraan kung paano mapataas yung income. The other one, Worldcom. They transferred transmission line cost from current expense account to capital accounts. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? Yung, okay, yung expenditure dapat ay operating expense. Okay? So, ang ginawa nila, nilagay nila sa capital accounts. So, ang nangyari, understated ang kanilang operating expenses. As a result, overstated naman ang kanilang net income. So, kaya akala ng mga bumabasa ng financial statement nila, kumikita sila, but in reality, ay hindi na kumikita at pabagsak na yung kumpanya. Okay. So, this is the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. So, ito, yung amendment ng corporation law natin, based din dito. Pero, syempre, sa Philippine setting. Okay, kaya hindi ko na rin to masyadong bibigyan ng emphasis kasi papag-aralan naman natin yun sa corporate governance na subject natin. Okay, the next slide is about the employee fraud. So, ano ba yung employee fraud? It is committed by non-management personnel, wherein it usually consists of an employee taking cash or other assets for personal gain by circumventing a company's system of internal control. Ito yung mga kumukuha ng asset, kumukupit, okay? Pero ito, kadalasan, maliliit na halaga lang. Pero ang delikado niyan is kapag yung employee nagko-commit ng fraud tapos kasabwat niya yung management. Ayan. So, dito na nga papasok yon yung management fraud. So, this is perpetrated at levels of management above the one to which internal control structure relates. So, when we say internal control, ito yung these are the controls, the policies, the procedures that are being implemented within an entity in order to prevent itong mga fraud, itong theft. Ayan. Kaya lang, syempre, pag management na yung involved, pwede niyang ma-override yung internal control. And also, this frequently involves using financial statements to create an illusion that an entity is more healthy and prosperous than it actually is. Kasi 'di ba, mostly ng mga incentives and bonuses are based on performance. Kaya minsan yung mga manager, they tend to manipulate the financial statement so that they will look more healthy. At pag healthy nga naman ang result ng operation ng department nila, they will get more incentives and bonus from it. So that is also one of the reason kung ba't ginagawa nila itong fraud na ito. And also, it involves misappropriation of asset. It frequently is shrouded in a maze of complex business transactions. When we say misappropriation of assets, ang example niyan, for example, nag-acquire siya ng kotse for personal use niya. Tapos, ang ginawa niya, ni-record niya yon as representation expense. So, ano nangyari? Misappropriated na yung asset doon. Kasi hindi talaga in-acquire yung asset for the benefit of the company but for his own benefit. Pero maliban na lang syempre it is initiated by the company itself as an incentive to him. Pero kung hindi naman, meron ng misappropriation of asset na nangyari doon.